What's up, Neverwinter? I originally was not going to put a voiceover for this, but I figured a lot of the people that are watching my stuff could benefit from some further in-depth stuff about the mechanics in this dungeon. This right here is an 18-minute and 45-second speed run. I mean, we weren't really trying to go as fast as we could. I know there's faster times out there. Setup we're using in this run, I believe, is just my Bard is on buff debuff. For the most part, all the DPS are running just their best damage builds. The tank might be using some support stuff, some encounters for increased damage. You might have the Masterwork set on at some point. Vistani set. I'm not really 100% sure on that. Um, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find stuff to talk about this entire video, but I do know some people could benefit from hearing more about the mechanics and the timing. So now that I've ran this a little bit more, hopefully I can share something that you haven't noticed or you haven't heard from anybody else. Obviously, the sweaty players aren't going to benefit from this at all, but yeah, we'll get into this on this first boss here. Um, Obviously, not much to him. You know, stay away from the front of the boss. There are attacks that cleave. You know, if you're DPS, you want to stay away from the front. Um, we go in here, we drop pretty much off the bat, and um, timing tends to get a little bit messed up with artifacts on these first two bosses. If um, you know you are burning them quick. This first boss here is not as much of a problem as the second boss. Um, the only main things that you need to know about this boss, it kind of becomes a pain with that red circle where he pulls you in. Sometimes it'll screw up artifact calls a little bit. When it comes to the crystals, it's the same thing on the first boss as the second boss. The crystal effect lasts exactly 20 seconds. I've timed it several times. There's no deviation there. And the crystal that you picked up will respawn 15 seconds after you picked it up. So it's best practice when you're running with your groups. If it's getting chaotic because people are taking other people's crystals and pools and everything, always go to the same pool and always go to the same crystal. That will allow you to, you know, kind of peek behind and look and see when you see that crystal spawn in. Just know that you have 5 seconds to get into the pool before you get frozen. If you do get frozen, or if you pick up, or if you go into a pool, that is the only time that you can pick up another crystal. You can't just go pick up another crystal while you still have your original crystal effect. You'll still get stunned, you know, at the end of that 20-second timer from picking up the first crystal. People can share crystals. There's no need to leave. If you see somebody going to stand by a certain crystal, you can stand there with them. As far as I've seen so far, though, you cannot share the pools. I mean, maybe you can if you can time it where both players walk in it at exactly the same time. But being the fact that that one happens instantly, um, I don't believe there's a way where you can share that pool, cleansing the freeze effect off of you. A little side note, I am looking for, you know, anything you guys want to hear about, any topics you guys want me to talk about, anything that you need shared, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll definitely, you know, put up a video talking about those things. Um, Likes and subscribes would be much appreciated as well. I was thinking about doing a video about masterworking, upgrading guild hall. Um, I can do build videos. I'm not a big fan of them because I don't know what the meta is yet, really. Um, but we can definitely get into that. I can share what I've seen people running that works well, and I haven't really fine-tuned my DPS characters yet. My supports, not much has changed with them. Kind of just some gear upgrades, and um, my personal belief is, the tank, you definitely want to maximize your defensive stats, but on the healer, I personally don't really think you need to, have maximum healing stats across the board to be effective. I think your group will benefit more on your supports if they are helping the group do more damage. I think a lot of people are losing sight of things like armor break and dulled senses, and the marrow of the set and the grace ring and things of that nature. And I think if people would kind of build their groups around that stuff a little bit more, it would help to just kill the bosses faster, kill the ads faster. They can't kill you if they're dead, so there's really no point in maximizing all your healing stats and the tanks being real selfish and not buffing the group at all. Um, so here on the second boss, it's same thing. This is the first boss with the crystals and the pools. 20-second, the crystal effect lasts on you, and then the crystal respawns after 15 seconds, so you'll want to cleanse. On this boss, you're going to want to watch out for the red circle that he puts around him, around the boss. The boss does not move at all. So that red circle that he puts on the ground around him, it takes a little bit to blow up, so you got plenty of time to get out of it, but it is going to hurt very badly. It's going to one-shot DPS and healers a lot of the times. The other one you want to watch out for is that straight line attack that he puts out in the direction he's facing. I think in this video I might end up getting killed by it because I went and stood by the tank at one point. I can't really remember. There's that red circle. You got plenty of time to get out of it. The falling red circles don't do too much. They are survivable. Here, you can still do the shortcut. This is after they patched it, but you're going to have to spam health stones. It does get kind of messy. It might cause death sometimes. It's not really necessary to do. You can just run the normal way. It doesn't, the shortcut honestly doesn't shave that much time off. Maybe 5 to 10, 20 seconds at the most, depending on, the group. The other thing, this right there, that tank poster, that's the other thing I didn't really talk about. I don't know what the deal with that thing is. I think it's glitched. Sometimes the DPS can stand in it, sometimes they can't. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Some other things to note. Mixed single target and AoE builds. Now when I say mixed, I mean very limited. It's kind of the same thought process of when you're going into Moon Dancer. You're gonna run all your single target powers still. There's no, you're not gonna change your powers at all, your encounter powers and your at-wills, or dailies necessarily. It depends a little bit on the class, what daily you're gonna end up using. But you can benefit from things like on the wizard, instead of using Rhyme Fire Weaving, putting on the direct damage Smolder that does the AoE damage as well. You kind of get that little bit of cleave damage that's going to kill the ads, as well as the Warlock kind of doing some cleave damage. Hunters can do that as well. Rogues can throw on Smoke Bomb in here. I've heard a little bit about rogues using AoE builds, but I think that's more for the last boss. I'm not really sure if that's something you're going to want to use here, but doing those mixed builds definitely seems to help keeping those Paranoid Delusions at bay. It allows, the DPS to get more free hits on the boss. Not really sure if there's anything I missed here. That's that line attack I was talking about earlier. You want to watch out for that. Definitely keep a health stone on your potion tray when you're going through, if you're going to take that shortcut now. The health stones don't have a cooldown. For some reason on my bard, it does have a cooldown sometimes. Sometimes it's only 2 seconds. It'll say it's on cooldown for the the normal 18 seconds, but it'll come off cooldown like 2 seconds later. On my wizard, I didn't see a cooldown on my health stone at all. You can get through it with only using your health stone like 2 times. It kind of depends. You know, once you get to that half hit point mark, you're going to want to hit it. If you're hitting it every time you take damage, you're going to end up going through like 10 charges on your health stone every time you go through that shortcut. No, it's not a big deal. Health stones these days are like 5,000 AD, but it is what it is. You don't want to be equipping a new one constantly and hold X to delete the old ones when there's only 1 or 2 charges left, you know, whatever. Again, we weren't going for a major speed run here. I know I've seen videos on YouTube, people doing 15-minute runs or less. We were just happy to get the achievement. This isn't a show of, you know, how fast we can get it done or anything like that. I just wanted to put a video out to kind of share a little bit more about the mechanics. There's some stuff that I've noticed about the third boss that hopefully I can share and help new players out. There's a lot of issues with those Demogorgons right now. I have reported on the Discord server. I don't know if they're going to fix it. One of the things that I've noticed, especially with the Demogorgons, they are basically front-loading their damage when they do that like claw attack or swipe attack or whatever. You're instantly getting hit by it before they even animate it. So it makes it basically impossible to dodge it. You almost gotta, you know, if the Demogorgon runs up on you, you almost gotta use stamina, get away from them immediately before they kill you. I personally don't think there is really anything to, a lot of people are saying keep the dragon in the pool in the middle. I don't think there really is anything to that, but I do think it's a good practice to kind of keep the dragon more or less stationary. On this dragon, one thing I will say that I believe will help groups is kind of facing him. The tank should be kind of facing him in a way so that more of the tentacles are on the tank side. This is kind of where the mixed AoE builds kind of really come in handy. You're going to clear out the paranoid delusions pretty quick. As soon as the Demogorgons spawn in, you're going to want to kill at least one of them. Depending on how strong your group is, killing both of them is kind of a time waster. The tank should be picking the Demogorgons up whenever they can. If the Demogorgons are on the DPS or the healer, kill them immediately. If the tank has, you know, if the tank can pick up one of them, that's kind of best practice. Just kill one of the Demogorgons and then let the tank take the other one. Both Demogorgons are going to be kind of a problem for just about any tank. They still hit really hard on the tanks. But one of them is very manageable. It's not really a big deal for the tank. Something that I wanted to talk about with these tentacles, again, this is another thing. I'm not sure if I reported this one on the Discord, but they got 2 different attacks. One that, you know, where they just slap in one direction. That one seems to take a little bit longer to charge. And then they got that other one where it slaps in 4 different directions. That one has issues with the timing. So when you do see that red line under your feet, you basically got to use stamina immediately. We go left here on these Demogorgons, and I know in my last video you didn't get to see the whole thing because I was tanking. And then on this one I'm going out on the second one. The Bard has issues seeing where the safe spot is there, but you're just going to be looking for whichever one of the corners has the multiple green waterfalls coming down. And something that I've noticed some people doing, when you get teleported into that phase and when you get teleported out, you're standing in the same exact spot both times. So you can use that orientation to help you get to whichever corner is the safe spot faster. I'm not sure if they fixed it yet, but another thing you can do is at this point, you can just creep your way out and reset death heads if you really need to. As long as nobody attacks the dragon or gets too close, you can just wait it out. The dragon will just stand there. No paranoid delusion spawn, no tentacles, nothing. I would definitely say that maximizing your damage on the dragon is beneficial. The longer you're taking to phase this dragon, the more opportunities people are having to die. I have heard a little bit about rogues using AoE loadouts on this fight. I think it really depends on how fast you can phase this dragon. I'm not sure if it's the way to go yet, but with the AoE loadouts, but you definitely want to be able to phase this dragon quickly. Taking too long just hurts you. After that first phase, you want to come out here, you want to drop immediately, because every time he roars, that's when you can't use your daily. Sometimes you'll get gaps where you can use your daily. I think it's beneficial to just hit your daily whenever, if you do notice that the dragon hasn't roared in a little bit and you hit your left bumper and you see that your daily is available, you might as well use it even if it's not during an artifact call, because you probably won't be able to use it during the artifact call. Tyrannical Curse on the Warlock does really well in here. Things like the Storm Daily on the Warden Hunter would probably work really well, if there is a lot of paranoid delusions around. So when you're doing this Demogorgon phase here, I do think it's the best to have the tank go first, the healer go second, and then, if you have any melee DPS or rogue, something with shorter range, have them go third, and try to keep your wizard or wizards till the last two Demogorgons. Ray of Frost will freeze them, and the Entangling Force will choke them, but it doesn't animate it, but they will stand stationary. Keeping those Demogorgons locked down is going to help you out immensely on this fight, as, like I was saying earlier, they do tend to one-shot. So as you're fighting this dragon, if you're DPS, you don't really need to worry about, being in front of the dragon too much or on the side. I kind of don't recommend being directly behind him. The tail swipe on this dragon will one-shot you on DPS, but it doesn't have a whole lot of range. Like, you have to be basically directly behind him and pretty close to him for it to be an issue. When you get down to this last phase here on the Illusion Dragon and the Brain, if your group is having issues with it, maybe it's taking you too long or something like that, your best practice is to make sure that you have artifacts going into this. This isn't good for the video here. I got the glitch where I'm flying through the map, but the dragon has more health than the Brain, and you have 1 minute from the time this phase starts until you get wiped. So it's best to just use artifacts as soon as you come in here if you can. And the other thing that I wanted to note was the crystals. There's these crystals in here, they don't respawn. So if you're with a slower group, everybody going to one crystal is kind of the best, because then people can go cleanse and grab new crystals. So, I mean, that's all I got for you guys here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Neverwinter.